everyone. Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Welcome back to episode 43 of the Breaking Point podcast. We're back in the building. It's a cracking show. We've got Lionman, I'm pretty sure, for the entire time today. Austin's here as
Yep.
well. And we've got a producer back in the building, baby. Omar's back here, actually putting on a good show, unlike the shambles that was last week. But that's okay. We're live on Twitch. Thanks all that are watching live, those watching after the fact on YouTube, Spotify, audio platforms, Apple, all that type of stuff. If Tim Cook wants to put it up on time, because he's been having some issues with that. But that maybe is in the past now. Got a cracking episode for you guys today. Lots to discuss. We've got the Ravens confirming their team finally. Optic drama, frankly, at least as far as Dashy's concerned. And then discussing Vanguard and the deficiencies it currently has, especially compared to what Halo seems to be coming out with the last few days. Austin, how are we doing? I like the Optic FaZe collab thing in the background. I know that's been there for a while, but I thought it was pretty cool anyway. And obviously, you guys have been playing each other in scrims a little bit this past week. It's been an interesting week. Let's just say that I thought that some things that might have happened by now would have already happened, but seemingly not the case.
Oh yeah, it's going. It's been chilling, watching everything go down, but yeah, been doing good. What about you, Lion?
Oh, I've been back at work, so I don't really get much time to watch COD at the moment. But what I have seen has been very interesting in this last week. So should we kick it off with London?
Interesting, certainly, yeah. I think we've got to kick it off with London, because I'm sure we're going to have a few things to say on Vanguard here. But let's firstly talk about this London team. This is, like, we haven't talked about this too much in depth probably so far. I'm really excited for this roster. I don't know if I'm getting too excited about this roster. I probably am. But I want, because last season, because London didn't really go down the full European team route. I want to support a team with Zer0 on it, to be honest. I basically became, well, Toronto Ultra fan, understandably, I think. I'm not like, glory hunter or whatever, but I wanted to support the boys and was disappointed, of course, when they lost the stage 5 disaster. Let's just talk about that one again. But I would like to support the London team, especially the way they're building it. I'm really excited about. So they confirmed their roster. If you want to bring this up on the screen, Omar, if you have it ready, I don't know if you do, but if you do, then you could bring up like the whole situation here with the London guys confirming their team. And they go through, and Zero's on there. It's Afro, it's Nastiee, and it's Gismo, right? It is the team we expected it to be. But I think that if there's one team I had to choose as a dark horse this year, I'd probably have to go for this one, because I think a lot of people are going to underestimate the potential of this team. I think Afro and Nastiee as an SMG combo are... They could be right up there with some of the best in the game, at least in terms of individual talent. We know what Nastie's done in Challenges the last couple of years on the European side. Pretty much everyone has said, at least outside of Afro, when he went to London and did great things towards the end of last year, that Nastie's the next guy you've got to get your hands on. So that's very exciting. I'm just really happy with the way they've built this squad, frankly, compared to some of the other teams, the likes of Paris. And it just reminds me a lot of kind of how Seattle have built their roster in the way that they've got like an experienced men AR and accuracy and Zer0, and then the rest of the team is very much like young guys that maybe won't have the greatest start to the year. It could take a bit of time, but they should get there. And the talent is fantastic if Zer0 can perform and prove again that he can be a fantastic player that he has been. Of course, didn't get the chance last year. And then the chemistry question as well seems great to me, because the guys like get along very well. They played with each other before, like when Zer0 was back in the UK, was playing with some of these guys. So I think all across the board they've done particularly well here. So I'm excited about this team, and if they do get out to the States, which it seems like they are, and Zer0 said his visa sorted, Austin, then I think I have high hopes. I don't want to, I don't want to jinx it though.
Yeah, it's actually funny. They're built like the same exact way as Seattle is. They both want, like, one's is North American, one's EU. You have the one experienced main AR that will probably be like teaching of these guys a lot about playing as a team against professional players, and then you have the three like young guns coming in that have like a lot of like potential. So um, I think both of them will be like midfield teams. I think they'll have like upset potential, but it might be like a learning curve for like both of them. I think they'll have their ups and downs, but it'll definitely be really exciting to see a lot of the new talent coming in, because this is the first year I think we've got like a lot of rookies coming in right at the start of the game. Like last year, I think there was 4 or 5. So I think this year we have a bunch as well. So it'll be really fun to watch.
I think this year with the rookies, it was just because last year it proved that rookies were actually a valuable asset to have. because of the upward potential they could bring. Especially players like Neptune, Paul X as well, who is still not on a squad right now, is he?
No.
Which is crazy. Standy, plays like that. And so I'm excited to see what Nastiee and Gismo can do because I haven't really watched much EU challenges. But we know that Afro's insane. Zer0 can be that sort of player as well. And so I'm just kind of excited to see what sort of dynamic they have. And I do agree. I think midfield is probably where they'll be, but the upset potential is probably quite high because the talent ceiling seems pretty ridiculous.
What do you think about Gizmo, Austin? Because I've seen a fair bit of Nasty because people post. I mean, clips come out. I think people have heard of Nasty. I would say more so than they have Gizmo, just because Nasty's kind of been in that conversation the last couple of years, and of course the Ravens tried to get him for I think like end of Modern Warfare, right? Like tried to bring him in, and it just couldn't happen due to visa stuff, and that was a bit of a shambles. So it was meant to happen earlier than now. Gizmo's a bit of like I guess maybe he's the biggest question mark here in terms of, well, I mean, I guess he has to be by default in a way that he's coming in as the flex on this team. I think that one of the other things that is good about this roster is that they're not going to have any issues with any meta. Like, if this game is 4 subs, they'll be fine, I think. Like, I don't know 100% what Gizmo prefers to use, but I know that Zer0 can do it on a sub. We've seen him use a Sorg, we've seen him use a Maddox and ICR, like, and in many different titles, and always perform well, but probably at his best on a main AR, which is why this is quite nice. But yeah, like, what's your perspective on Gizmo? What does he bring to a team? Is he just like a raw gun skill type player? Is there more to his game, and like what weapons does he generally prefer to use? Because I guess he is technically the flex, but we've seen a lot of MP40 action so far in Vanguard.
Yeah, so last year I knew him as more of an AR player. He was using like the what was it, XM10, whatever, that AR that was really OP at a certain point. Um, he was using that probably the earliest out of any team that I saw. Um, so that's how I know of him as more of an AR player. So honestly, I'm more worried about a 3 or 4 sub meta for this team than I am for others, just because while Trey has been he can play multiple roles. Like I don't know. I'd rather have him as the main AR player. Gismo, I've really only seen on the AR, and then Nastiee. Last year, I saw him a lot on the AR. So I feel like they would actually do better if there's more SMGs in the meta, or
What ARs you mean?
more
Hmm.
ARs in the meta. That's where I would see their strengths being more used, I guess, because Afro is really individually talented. So when the weapon's harder to use, he'll be better than other SMGs. If you know what I mean by that.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I definitely think they have a lot of potential. Like Gismo will be that really flexible player that's playing like more of like the dirty role positions with Trey. Like I feel like this team will be shining on the SMG front, which is that's a good way to build a team if you're going young. So they'll be really relying on their SMGs of Nastiee and Afro to really carry the load, and then have like the veteran flexibility in the back line. So it should work out really well for them.
Yeah, I think I'm just excited to see another full EU team alongside
Mm.
Toronto. So now there's like that actual EU rivalry. But the fact that Paris announced an NA squad is pretty sad. I wanted to see a full French team for once, but I guess the talent from there is pretty diluted. But yeah, no, I'm just excited to see what the second British team can bring.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good segue, really, because like the kind of final point I had about the London team, and we did, bash on Paris a bit last week for how exactly they built their team. But just given London is confirmed, I thought it was worth mentioning again, frankly, that this seemed like the thing about this London squad is that they're not just building for this year, but they're building for future years as well, right? Like, yes, I mean, like, you don't know how long Zer0 is going to compete. He's certainly a veteran at this point. But the rest of the guys, like, if this team doesn't work, you can still keep 1 or 2 of these guys, and maybe, I don't know, it doesn't work for different reasons other than the players aren't nasty, because they're certainly nasty, and maybe they can go elsewhere if needed. But that's the thing, like, this squad, like, these guys have potential for many years to come. You look at the Paris team, and it's like, well, how long are those guys going to remain in the league? I mean, if you look at the Paris team from last year, what was it at the start of the game? You had Aqua, you had Temp, you had Scraps, and Fire 40, of course, was I guess the other one. Fire's no longer in the league. Aqua's retired. Scraps is still there, and Temp is still. Scraps is sort of gone, and Temp is still there on Paris, right? So it's like, are we going to get this every single year? And it was the same with Paris in the first year. To their credit, Paris in the first year were actually quite good with the Australian guys, and I thought they did a reasonable job building that. But then even guys like Luca and stuff that were considered to be the next star, they kind of disappeared. So it's just stuff like this that makes me think that every single team that Paris fields, pretty much the entire roster come next year is just gone out of the league. It's like, it just seems like maybe they should have taken a different route, Austin, and said, okay, let's get, and I know probably dealing with the visa situation would have been too challenging for them to muster, right? Because they want to spend the minimum and they don't want to put any more effort in than they have to. But theoretically, we talked about it, right? Harry, right, being the other guy on the European side that people feel like deserve to get a shot here, especially if this London team proves that they're legit and they've got talent just like the Toronto Ultra guys have. Then I think people are going to take them other talent from that region, other regions even more seriously than they should already do. But we talked about Vortex, right? Like at least Paris could have tried to have one player in their team that has some potential, like some untapped potential, right? That you don't know what their ceiling is, and that's the exciting thing about London. You don't know what their ceiling is going to be necessarily. It could be fantastic, but Paris, you know they're capped at like top 10, frankly, which isn't ideal, Austin. You're on mute.
There we go. Yeah, so there was some rumors that like they were actually looking at an EU team. Um, there was actually a bunch about a month ago. So they were looking at that. I don't know if like visas scared them off. I don't know what that was because it's still a little bit difficult to be like getting from over in EU over the NA in time, especially if the league begins in like 2 months. So you're really risking it on that front. And if they don't make it over, then you're burning that salary. So I think that might have scared them off. But I would have still liked them to go at least like on the younger side of NA. I know we've touched on it a couple times, but they as a franchise they need direction, and they said they wanted to be competitive this year. Which if that's the case, so be it. If you think this team's competitive, then let's see it throughout the year. So it's tough without being so critical because we haven't seen them play yet. Who knows? It could be have something magical happen. I know Temp has had a lot of highlight plays so far this year, so it kind of does suck that they didn't get any Europeans, but I think if we do see expansion, I think a majority of the expanded slots would be EU, just because I think the visa process and like restrictions are going to start loosening up, and that will really allow more EU players to get over here. But if I do have any advice for those guys, if you get a chance to move over to NA, even if it's just for a little bit, take full advantage of that because it could be really life changing. I know like Vickle, I don't know how to say his name. He's going to school in Texas this year, so he'll be playing over in the NA Challengers, and I'm just really excited to see how he translates going from one side to the other. So um, I do hope, we saw some Renegades rumors last year. We've seen Team Singularity 2 years ago came over, but yeah, if you have a chance to get over here, 100% do it because it's only going to help your career.
Lion is some sort of technical difficulty, maybe making a return. I don't know. Camera seems to be having an issue, but that's just how it goes sometimes. But I mean, like, yeah, I think I agree with you, Austin. At the end of the day, that's one of the things with how, I don't know, a lot of these teams are forming. The thing is that another question really on this that I thought was interesting is when you were discussing the fact that like Seattle and London are going to kind of be middle of the pack teams, right? Which would be nice to say, and it feels like this squad is deserving of that kind of point. But or maybe a move box there a little bit. But the problem is that there's 12 teams in this league, and I saw an interesting comment today on the Reddit, and it basically said something to the effect of the average in this league, like an average team is like slasher gunners who can see, right? It's nasty on paper, but that might be around about top 6, and that's the thing. We're looking at all these squads that are, hey, he's back in business, baby, love to see it, that are like incredible, but at the end of the day, some of these teams have to be like top 6, top 8, right? And it's I think quite an exciting question. I'll throw it to you, Lion. Is which team of kind of the big dogs do you not expect to perform? Because some of them, because they will, in terms of power rankings that we do, which we actually could do quite soon, to be honest, power rankings, given the fact that pretty much everything has been confirmed now, apart from that mystery 12th spot, we don't really know what's going on there still. But some of these teams, Seattle have been looking pretty good in scrims the last few days. Of course, London, we talked about on paper being pretty nice. So it's like, you'd think that one of these squads is probably going to be, at least one of them might be much better than people expect. And then one of the top squads might be much worse than people expect. But it's really tough to put your finger on exactly who that might be.
That's why I'm honestly excited that
You're on mute,
if
line.
if we do another
Um,
8 teams at COD Champs, like I don't want to like you're not going to see like Seattle and London really like light it up for the entire season. At least if they do, that would be a really good shock to the scene. I think that would be awesome. But I think in reality they'll have their ups and downs. I think they have leaders that will keep them in the hunt at all times. But like squeaking in on like the 8th, 7th, 6th seed, like I think that's a great year, like regular season, and then anything can happen at champs as
Yeah.
long as you don't start in the losers. But like I really, they need to
Please
ditch
get rid of
that.
that.
I don't care. Just do a double elimination bracket 1 through 8. The 1 plays the 8. Yada yada. Just I don't know why it's that hard, but um, I want like teams to be excited that they snuck in at 8 and 7 and 6 because that means you did what you needed to do during the regular season. There's a lot of teams that in reality won't be reaching those top seeds. I don't think that's an issue. I think as long as you're showing that you have the upset potential, that you have growth, that you have the skill, that you're putting in the work, that at champs that will pay off, and like that's what we need to be like highlighting for a lot of these teams. Like just because you're facing top 6, top 8 at these tournaments doesn't mean that's necessarily a failure in their eyes, or what it should be in their eyes. You know?
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but previous years, I think last year New York was that team that surprised me. I expected them to be like top 10, and then they came out with like top 4, top 3 for like the first half of the season. And then the year before that, I would say Dallas was the surprising team to me, that they were like always top 2, top 3. But this year, I don't really know, because those years, there was the teams were stacked. Like even Paris, I thought they were going to be really good last year. And so I don't really know. This year it could
Yeah.
be anyone. But you were touching, Austin, on top 8 at champs. I think it should be every team at champs if the league is online. If it's LAN for most of the year, I think it should be top 8, just because I feel like that's more fair to cut teams off because they're actually not performing as opposed to potentially having ping issues. So if it's just the regular league like last year or this year, then yeah, I would just go all teams at champs. But it's just my opinion.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes with any luck. I think it's tough for me to choose a team that I think will underperform. I think we'll probably discuss this in a future episode. I think it'll be one of the LA teams, but I can't tell which yet. Maybe we need to see some more scrims. But I've got confidence in most of the other squads. But I feel like one of the LA teams is gonna be worse than people expect. But I don't know what to say more on that. One team that has obviously had a huge amount of discussion around it is the Optic Texas team, which I almost said wrong again because it's still kind of weird to think about. But Optic Texas is a thing, and Dashy was he was all over the thumbnails this week. You got to credit the guy. He's back in business. There was a couple of months there where Dashy went not being on too many thumbnails, but you know he's back in business lately for sure since the Optic Texas announcement. But of course, Rambo comes in, has been doing these awesome streams, like analyzing, basically just spectating the scrims and discussing, this player pushes this out and what that means, and breaking down particular plays. And one of the things he said on stream was about Dashy and how like he knows how Scump plays. Everyone knows how Scump plays. He's been around for years. Like he's generally pre-em heavy, slaying SMG. One of the best to ever do it. Of course, best SMG player of all time. Everyone knows how Scump plays, especially Rambo because he played with him way back in the day, and as Scump considers him like his codfather or whatever that brought him into the scene. He also, of course, knows Shotzi and Illy because he was their coach for the last couple of years on the Dallas Empire. The player that he doesn't know too much about is Dashy. Of course, I'm sure he's watched plenty of Dashy VOD with the Optic VODs last year, so it was a probably good idea how he plays. But there was some implication from Rambo that like he's going to try and help Dashy play more how we described it as by the book this year, which is somewhat more fundamental. Now like exactly what this means is a bit of a question mark, but I thought it was kind of interesting saying that if he wants Dashy to play a bit more by the book and how he should be playing, does that imply he's over-challing too much? Does that imply he's baiting too much? These are the discussions that were had. Like what exactly does that implication mean? And can Rambo help alleviate that, right? Because I think really if there's one big question mark, Austin, right now with Optic, it's not around Shotzi at all. It's not around Scump at all. And I think Illy has proven like his communication the last couple of weeks has been pretty fantastic. And of course, Illy is probably the most likely one to get scapegoated still. But if there's a big question, it's like, okay, Dashy, is the work ethic going to be there? Is it going to be consistent? And this kind of like play style concern that people have had because, like at the end of the day, his Lionman cards are always fantastic, but the results aren't necessarily there. So that's kind of, it's a question that people are always going to raise until Dashy wins another event and wins another MVP as to like how much impact he actually has. So like, do you think Rambo is going to be a big factor in getting the most out of him?
Yeah. I mean, I think by the book, I don't think he's talking about individual form. So like a lot of fans like loop everything together. So like, I think what he's more talking about is like after you get the kills, what you are doing on the map and how you're communicating that to your teammates. You take advantage of the kills, right? So you make your kills have more impact. I think that's what he's trying to explain is that he's trying to get more impact out of Dashy more than just like the slaying. So it helps out the rest of his team. So I don't think it's like a knock or anything. I don't think it's anything like that. I think he's just like he's saying that there's more potential in his gameplay than what they've had the last couple of years, right? So he can get a little bit more out of him than what's been seen. So obviously Ray and Troy are really good coaches. Like I feel like they're gonna be the ones that really unlock the potential out of them. I'm not so worried about the speaking, like, because like communication goes two ways. A lot of people forget that. Like when they talk about communication, they just think about speaking and how you talk and how you're talking to your teammates. But there's still that's only 50% of it. The other 50% is actually listening to your teammates. Getting that information and then reacting correctly. That's also communication. That's the second half of it, and it's actually more important than speaking, because if people are speaking to you and you're just not clicking that in your head and you're not doing the play correctly or you're not reacting correctly that the rest of the team is doing, then it's actually more detrimental than anything. So that's something that a lot of players don't focus on, and I think that's like one of the most underdeveloped like things we have in our game because everyone's so focused on talking, but they don't actually listen. So I feel like that's going to be like a point of emphasis for a lot of teams this next couple of years. So um, they're going to be really good at developing that. So I'm really excited to see how they actually do this year.
Feel like he also needs to become more of a fundamental AR, and that's what's key is that he hasn't played a main AR since, I guess. I mean, you could say he kind of did on OGLA, but Slasher was there.
He was
I
never
think the
meant to be
last
the main
time,
AR. Like Slasher
yeah,
wanted to do it.
probably World War II was the last time he was main AR, and it was on a pretty chaotic team. So it's like it's the first time he has has to play fundamentally sound for the players around him. And I think Rambo understands how ARs work around Shotzi as well and Ellie and how they can work together really cohesively. So I think, yeah, I understand what Austin's saying, and I think I agree for the most part.
Yeah,
But
that's
not
the
much
thing
to add
about
to
like
that.
Rambo and Dallas is that last year we saw an awful lot that they would get dramatically outslayed and still win, right? So now you're looking at a team with Scump, Shotzi, Illy, and Dashy on it, and you're thinking, well, it's tough to find a world in which they're regularly getting outslayed. So, if they can concoct the same magic recipe that they had last year on Dallas to get more wins than you could argue that the stats deserved, but of course teamwork is integral, right? And clearly Rambo is a part of making that happen, right? So that's one of the things that is exciting here. The other part of it, right, was that there was some nice clips that came out, let's be honest, where Dashy was talking about Ben J. Nissim on the flank and saying that, because Ben says something on the flank, then people will go along with it and believe it, right? Which is how things work in CoD. Someone says something and people think, oh, maybe that's a fair point, and then they, believe it and take that as a legitimate opinion, which often very much is the case. But Dashy says, look, Ben, he's never spawned into a game in his life, like he's got no credibility, guy's clueless, this type of stuff. It was entertaining to say the least, and then kind of went against the people that have been hating on him and saying like, look, there's some people say he's like he ego childs too much, right? Flies around too many corners, takes too many fights, and then there's other people that are saying like he's baiting too much, right? He's just sitting in a window waiting for his team to go and then getting the trades. So he was then like both can't be true, right? It's either one or the other, which is I was thinking like is that fully the case, right? Like do you think I think it's interesting to me like that the whole criticism about what Ben is saying, because I don't know. I feel like there's a general thing amongst pros where if anyone that isn't a pro or has never been a pro has an opinion that they disagree with, they can just instantly say it's like BS by saying that they were never a pro. But the fact of the matter is that pros often they speak a load of BS themselves, and like there's people like that, random lads on Reddit that probably have very reasonable opinions. So I don't know. I find this maybe indicative of like a wider thing within the pro scene. To be honest, Austin, I don't know if you feel like yourself, but I just
Oh, I get that all the time. I was getting that. I was getting that the last 2 years, as I never played, so I shouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about. But it's a learning curve. I guess you just got to take it on the chin. Um, the thing with like AR players specifically, because you can put up great stats and still be on a losing team when you're on an AR. It's like much easier to do that. When you're an AR on a losing team and you're putting up good stats, right? People think you're doing something and you're still losing. People think you're doing something wrong. So people are much more critical of your gameplay. So obviously, Optic, I would say last year was a complete failure because they literally only won one upper bracket match, right? So people automatically have to you know, diagnose what happened with the team. And usually your ARs are, well, he has a lot of kills, but where's the impact, right? So there was a couple stages last year where you could tell they switched roles. I remember looking at it and I was thinking, looking at a bunch of like the stage stats. I think it was stage 4. Dashy actually had a much lower engagement rate than any of the other stages, because I think he switched over to the main AR, and I think FormaL got more aggressive. I think that was like by design of the team. So the problem is people will be on his ass for being too aggressive in some stages, and then in that one stage, oh, he's too slow now. So it's like you
yeah.
get like the back and forth throughout the season. It's like, well, okay, but part of me also thinks if they were winning, if they were doing well throughout the year, then I don't think anyone would be on his ass as much. So I think like part of his play style is a little bit more slaying heavy. So it looks like he's a little bit slower on the map. It just looks like he's not too baity, but that's just how it looks like. So people just want more impact out of his kills. They expect when he gets those 2 pieces, 3 pieces, that the team really takes over the game from there. And sometimes it doesn't happen. So then people start trying to you know, be the
Mm.
armchair GM fan or armchair coach fan, that are trying to like break it down. And I think like that's where like the misconceptions start coming around. It's just really tough to like really be too critical because you don't know the other 3 players on the team, like what's going on. Is it really communication that's the issue? Is it his individual play style? Is it the system that the team is running? There's just a lot of moving pieces to it.
Yeah. I find it funny when players will roast people for judging their gameplay, but will also go ahead and roast like NBA players for their like, you know? So it's like I don't understand that, but that it is what it is, and we probably should look into it more before we talk shit. But in all honesty, I don't really care. Um, Dashy, yeah, I feel like he's not been in like a situation where he's able to like capitalize on his slaying ability as well. So this year, yeah, I don't really know what to say about Dashy because yeah, not much to
We'll
add.
just
I
see how
feel
it
like we've
goes.
we've said it all year. Like we've talked about him, and I think
Yeah.
like we just need to wait until this next season, see what he
Yeah,
does.
it's just a big year. It's a big year for a lot of players. I mean, it's always a big year, frankly. But that's just how it goes. Let's actually talk about the game they're playing then. Vanguard, baby. Lots of stuff happened in the last week. I mean, look, we can get to this bomb glitch thing in a second, which for some reason still hasn't apparently been fixed. But GAs, right? Big talk the last week. We've got some testing going on like what pros are using on certain maps. We saw that smokes being tested as disappearing and are being banned in respawn. Lots of conversation about this because some people were practicing with like, okay, let's use 2 smokes in respawn, maybe 1 in search, maybe 2 in search. Maybe let's like try using them on these maps, but not these maps, because Haggy was saying that on Gavutu and Berlin, I think he said that like being an SMG on that without smokes is really tough to close any distances. But on some maps, it makes it too chaotic. So do we have to have different GAs for different maps? What map should even be in there? We've got gammon bombs going because there's no trophies in the game. Like as of yet, it doesn't seem like any weapons are gone, but a lot of people tweeting every day about how the MP40 is too good. All these questions. It's It's interesting, Austin. I don't know if you have any perspective on what you've seen so far, like what you're thinking about. I guess the state of the game from the GA perspective, but it's I'm sure it's going to be an ongoing discussion because it's there's a lot of stuff in this game, and the questions are going to keep raining on, to be honest. But so far, there's only a couple of things that have really been brought up.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I haven't watched a lick of scrims yet because like most teams don't really take like the results too seriously until after Thanksgiving. So like
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm waiting for. But like damn. So there's like so much fundamentally wrong with the game that results in bans. Like just because there's no trophy systems, it like the Gammon Bomb is just so overpowered right now just because you can throw it, put someone down to 50% and then just charge, right? And the Gammon Bomb with the stun that does 20 damage, it basically kills you. So it's like it's really tough. So like I understand why that has to go. Um in reality, like I keep trying to like figure out like solutions to all this. Like I keep thinking maybe if we did no grenade hit markers, that would help with some of it because then you wouldn't be able to, throw a Gammon Bomb, get a hit marker, throw a stun, and just start running, right?
Oh yeah.
It would actually take some skill to because it's like a free UAV if you think about it. You just throw it into like a little corner, like into a house, and if you get a hit marker, you know someone's there, right? So that's why Halo takes it out. But like there's other stuff like smoke grenades. Like right now the spawns are so messed up that there's like SMGs are dying like 40, 50 times a game, right? Now think about if you had a smoke grenade. Even if you limit it to one person per team, that's 50 smoke grenades going off in a respawn. That's 50 smoke grenades per team going off, even if you just limited it to one person per team. Because the spawns are so close to the hills and there's so many engagements, smokes would just you would spawn up, toss your smoke grenade, run in, die. Toss up or spawn in, toss a smoke grenade, die. It would just be a constant cycle of just chaos that would take a lot of the skill out of the game. And again, it just goes down the game design, and that's what's really hurting the scene right now. Is just the game's in such a poor state currently. Like that doesn't mean it's not going to be fixed. Every single season we've had a spawn update. It's happened in Black Ops 4. Like Seaside used to be awful, and then it got tuned and it turned in great. It was great after that. In MW we had a patch that like limited some of the squad spawns. Like it was more predictable where you were spawning. In like December. Last year we had spawn like tunings as well. So that's how like people started developing like parallel spawns. Like we were able to read it through that. So honestly, I'm just hoping we get a good spawn tuning so it fixes a lot of the respawn mistakes. And then once the spawn tuning comes out and there's less engagements per map, then you can bring in a smoke grenade that will help out for SMGs. So I guess we just have to wait until tunings start happening, which kind of sucks.
What would you prefer, Austin? Would you prefer the game was less complete, but it had ranked play, skins, competitive rule set, all that, or how it is right now?
I mean, this is less complete, so I don't really.
No,
This
but it
is
would
less
probably be
complete just
even
without
less.
everything else.
Wouldn't it be
I,
even less complete if they had focused even more on other areas?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is it possible?
I don't even know. Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot. It's just like the map design is like it's good at points, and then it's really bad, and then like I don't know. I don't know what goes into developing a game at all. So I don't know if they put like because like is there anything that's done exceptionally well in the game? Like I feel like the gunplay is. I feel like the
Movement's pretty
movement's
good.
pretty clean.
Mm.
So I don't like. I just feel like if this game isn't in a much better place by January, um, we might be in a little bit of trouble. I feel like it needs a spawn update. It needs weapon tunings. Um, in
Yeah.
the kill cams right now, you can't even see the attachments on guns. So people are using. You have to ban out guns like the Type 100. The bar is banned because we can't even see with attachments. You can't restrict attachments. You can't restrict guns in the private lobbies. You can't. I don't know. There's just a lot that needs to be tuned and fixed, and S&D glitches, and I don't know. They just have to start getting on top of these to really improve quality of life within the game. I guess I'll say
Yeah.
that.
Did you touch on the fact that you can now run any class, but you can't once you kill someone, they can't see the class you have? So you can be running unrestricted parts on your
Yeah,
gun.
there's no. It doesn't show you the attachments in the kill cam, so
Yeah,
you can't. You don't know.
which is
That's why
mad.
they're restricting complete guns like the Type 100. Like right now, the STG, the Type 100, the bar. I think even the MP40 can two-shot people with certain attachments. And it's like, oh Jesus. Um,
Who
but
comes up
yeah,
with this stuff, honestly?
yeah. So that's why when like you see like scrims going on right now, take it with a super grain of salt because
Yeah,
yeah, everything's. I really don't believe that this is going to be the final look of the game. But I also don't want to fall into the trap that we had in Modern Warfare, where people just kept saying the super update is coming, it's coming, and then it never really came.
yeah,
Um, so I'm just trying to stay as optimistic as possible that the game will be completely different in 2 months. So yeah,
yeah.
Well, we'll see. This might like. Is this the worst launch state of any COD we've ever played? Because it might be. Like,
IW
I
was
want.
pretty ass, bro.
I believe. That's actually not a bad shout. I mean, I was thinking Modern Warfare, like pre-spawn update with the maps and like the 27 hard points on Grozny Raid, but I mean, they
oh
obviously
yeah, that
took that
wasn't
one
great.
out. That wasn't great either, to be fair. But this game is. I ran around on Decoy earlier, Austin, right? Because we were prepping for that thing. And I could not believe my eyes, the amount of breakable shit on this map. I actually was in shock. Everywhere I went, there was something that I could punch with my gun, and it would create me a little head glitch. And then if I wanted to get through it, I had to punch it again, like 50 more times. And when you get rid of all of them, the map is just so open. It's like what? Like maybe put a couple of things that are breakable, but why does the whole map have to be breakable? And this is what people were saying, or at least what people were discussing. Is that like, okay, let's say London Docks comes back, let's say Samurai Dumont comes back, let's say they bring back some of these good World War II maps, like how are they going to ruin them, right? It's going to be ruined. They're going to put bloody breakable walls everywhere. You're going to have doors. It's like, come on, man. Can't I just get a normal map? Why don't they just look at why do we have to be Rainbow Siege? Why can't they just look at a good FPS like Counter Strike and say, okay, we're just going to have a solid map and it is what it is? I know what they're thinking, but the problem is the breakable walls. That's the thing that really annoys me. Obviously, there's squad spawns, there's Bloom that like Illy was gunning someone across the map. There's also like bullet drop, right? You got to think about the fact that it's not a hit scan. So if you're gunning someone long range with an SMG, you've got to lead your shots effectively, which is like, I don't think we should really ever have to be thinking about that in a regular multiplayer game. I don't know, maybe that's up for debate, but that's my perspective at least. And I don't think that's necessary. Well, certainly not necessary. So, it's there for the sake of it, I guess. Just all these problems compounds. Like the breakables to me is the most obvious one, but if anything, it's probably not the most frustrating for the pro player side, especially on certain maps. You can probably get away with it, but it's like maps like Eagle's Nest. It feels like such a good competitive map to play, like at least looking at it and the way it's designed. But just the way the breakables are and like stuff like this just means that, like, I imagine it just plays pretty terribly for hardpoint and stuff because everything's just, I don't know, maybe it's too chaotic. I don't know. It's just, and the spawns obviously don't help. So it's just a load
Yeah,
of things right now. It's like this might be the worst COD at launch for competitive. Like it could be good, the potential's there, but it's like the amount of issues is probably more than we've ever had, frankly.
yeah. I just they're falling into this trap of like putting out like an incomplete game and then like updating it as the season goes along. We've seen that a couple times now, and it feels like they're just trying to be so creative and like come out with new products instead of just developing what you already have. Just develop that to perfection instead of trying to be so cool in so many different ways. I feel like that's a trap that most businesses like fall into is like you gotta be creative to drag in new people, but you're also just letting your core product just dwindle. So I do hope like even with like the breakable stuff on the map, uh it's so hard because you really can't turn it off. If you turn it off, there's this 97 places. It's like
Yeah.
Grozna Raid where you
Yeah.
just get shot
Yeah.
from so many different places. So like the map design is really made for these breakable things. So it's like we can't even really disable that because I don't even think that will fix. And the thing is you can't really disable it on some maps and not disable it on others
Mm.
because it's like So it's just it's really tough on that front, and then you have the bullet drop, which I don't like. 10 attachments because of Warzone. The bloom, actually, I don't mind if they limit the bloom. Like I noticed that some guns have like a really tight bloom, like
Mm.
automaton has a tight bloom, whereas a different AR has a really wide bloom. Like ARs shouldn't have bloom. SMGs should all have the same bloom. It should be a little bit tighter than what it is, just so like we don't have like the MP5 from Modern Warfare. I feel like that's a decent way to, but they in reality what they should be doing is damage ranges, like tweak it so the damage ranges aren't crazy. But yeah, you have attachments that increase damage ranges now, so you can the damage range can just be a million. Damage is now upgradable for some reason, and on almost every gun on multiple attachments. Fire rate, you just have rapid fire on multiple. Remember the good old days of like Black Ops 2 where you actually had the attachment rapid fire. Now like 5 different attachments can increase the fire rate. So it's just really tough. I usually am completely stay out of GAs, like, completely, but, like, it's the GA list just seems so wide this year, but it's just because there's so much stuff that it's just there's not really any negatives to putting on a lot of attachments, so it's just really tough to balance because like, the game developer like, it's the guns aren't really balanced, so now the players have to balance it themselves, and it's just really tough to do that, so GA suck, but I like this year it's going to be really important that players themselves like make a good rule set that the players in the league, like the league is obviously helping out a lot. That's why I don't like to pin anything on the league because the league can ask the developers to do as much as they want, but it's up to the developers to put it out in the game, right? So the league and the players they're going to do a really good job of making the CDL rule set, I think, and like at least we won't have to worry about attachments or anything. It'll just be about the core game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, GAs are the worst, but in reality, they make the game playable because otherwise, this game is way too chaotic with shotguns as well being so OP.
Oh
And I
man.
don't think we've really had a game that is playable without GAs since, what would you say? Advanced Warfare? Oh, no, probably Black Ops 3 because of Ban and Protect. And like
Yeah.
every year
Black Ops
since
4
it's
wasn't that
been,
bad.
were there things GA though?
There was certain like
That's
specialists,
probably playable. That's probably
but it was
playable.
it was certainly playable. It's not like we were
We're
banning
relying on
50
it.
attachments. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
Well, yeah.
the only GA I'm really fine. Like I'm fine with almost every GA. Like even the ATS GA. Um, yeah, I'm completely fine with that. There's so much stuff right now that players are just testing because the thing is like you make certain rule lists for how the game is now, and then the game completely changes in a month or 2 months. So then you have to keep tweaking the rules list, and that's one of the hardest things to keep up with. So everyone's just in a really tough spot right now, and I like the league and the players are just trying to make the best of it as they can in the current situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of things I'll say. Firstly, this is one thing I noticed going back to play Black Ops 2. The SMGs, the way they balanced the MSMC gunning someone across the map in that game was firstly the SMGs actually had recoil, so that was pretty good. But also the aim assist range was very limited. So if you were in kitchen on raid and you were trying to gun the guy in Zig with an SMG, you would not get aim assist on that gunfight. Like it was you if you wanted to chell that gunfight and gun the guy, like you had to be absolutely beaming the kid with that aim assist on, which was not easy to do. And you could, same really the rest of the map. You fast forward to the current day, the aim assist range doesn't really seem to change. Like, but with an AR in that fight, you get aim assist still, and like with an LMG, you get aim assist even longer range. So like that's the way they
Yeah.
would balance it in a way. Would be like, okay, if you're outside of this distance, like 25 meters or whatever, you're not getting aim assist with a sub. So you better stay within that range, or not going to be beaming a guy across the map. So that maybe is a better way to balance it than this bloom thing, which just adds randomness, right? Like at least just aim
Yeah.
assist gets cut off. At least there's no randomness there. Like it just
I
is what it is.
feel like in Black Ops 2, it was way stronger, like on the MSMC at short range. So it was like ridiculously strong and then it would
Mm.
fall off heaps. And also, wasn't there hit scan in that game on SMGs?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, obviously, it's going to feel completely different to how it does now. back at the start of Black Ops 4, the sword felt completely different to how it felt at
Mhm.
the end. And I wonder just how they're gonna tune the guns this year. I feel like right now the MP40 is like the gun of choice. But
Automaton is
yeah.
now, man. That thing's shredding.
Wait, really? Do you have
Yeah.
Let the flex. Are their classes up for that yet?
Yeah, that's what I was
No,
looking
'cause I,
for.
I was waiting for the scrims, but apparently the automaton is just a running house in scrims.
I
Alright,
saw
So
that's your
Dashy
next
the other
article,
day.
bro. That's your next
That's the next
article.
article right there. Breaking Water
yeah,
GG.
yep.
but
Oh
I
man,
mean,
bro,
yeah.
Yeah, that's
tough.
so what I was gonna say was I just Black Ops 2 kind of got it right from the start. Like they didn't really have to fine tune those weapons that much, apart from the PDW and the Vector and stuff. But the MSMC stayed pretty much the same the whole year. Whereas this year, I feel like we're gonna have a completely different set of SMGs by the end of the season, just because of all the bitching.
It could change a lot, to be fair. Like, there's the Type
Yeah.
100, I think, could be viable. There's PPSH, of course, which is like that's never going to be too far away from the meta. I was just thinking, like, Black Ops 3 did the same thing. If you were trying to gun someone with a VMP across the map, you got some aim assist, but like you needed to hit like your first shots and then you could beam them. But if you didn't, like, it was chalked. Um, so the other thing, of course,
What a
about CoD is that we don't even have a third game mode right now. Go online.
Oh, and I was gonna say VMP, what a gun.
Ah,
Fucking
yeah,
fire.
I
beautiful,
think
Unbelievable.
I think
beautiful.
other games have bloom though too. Like in CS and Valorant,
Yeah,
you have the
CS has
first
bloom. Like
shot.
that's what I
Like,
mentioned.
Yeah,
First shot
yeah.
accuracy is a thing. Like it's not
yeah.
a.
It's just tweaking the bloom. Like the bloom shouldn't be as big as what it is on some weapons. Like there
Mm,
can be bloom on
Yeah.
the SMGs. It just has to be tight. Like you got to be able to at least know the window for what the bloom's going to be, so you can
Mhm.
still play for that. It can't be completely random. Like no one knows what the bloom is right now.
I
It's like a
think
recoil pattern in CS. If you know it,
yeah.
then you can play for it.
Yeah.
mm.
I think Bloom got a really bad reputation from Fortnite because Fortnite when it came out, everyone
It's
was
so
so
obvious,
shocked
isn't it?
by
The.
yeah, and it's crazy in their game. You could be aiming
Yeah.
right at someone and miss them by a mile
Mm.
with like an AR or something. So I think, we're kind of freaking out about Bloom in this game, but if it can be like you say, like understandable, you can like get used to it. I think it'll be pretty good. But for SMGs alone, I feel like ARs shouldn't really have bloom, especially if you're aiming down the sights like passive. Maybe if you're moving, there should be bloom, things like that, as opposed to
Or
just
maybe if
like
you're
standing
crouching.
still.
If you're
Yeah, crouching,
crouching, no
no
bloom.
bloom. Yeah,
Yeah. Because you're more stable on the weapon. Where if you're running or if you're standing and moving like strafing, bloom.
yeah,
Like
that's the same as Fortnite, literally.
Yeah,
yeah,
it does work
You're,
exactly like that, doesn't it? Because if you like
yeah,
crouch or whatever, you get like the dot comes up on the screen.
yeah, and the
Damn,
game was
one
better
of those
when that came
days.
in because it also
Yeah,
slowed
yeah,
players down. Like players weren't so crazy to like build and like run at you. They would stop and stand on a hill and actually like aim. So I
yeah.
think like that could actually help with slowing the game down as well, which would be
yeah.
good for spectators. But yeah,
That's what I'm thinking, man. I think it's going to be an entertaining year for the fans to watch the chaos. But I am glad I'm not a pro player. Let's just say that.
mm,
Um, of course, as I was kind of alluding to, we don't even have a third game mode yet and know what that's going to be. Whereas Halo have launched their entire game. Now, before we get into the launch and some of the understandable jealousy from the COD community, wanted to touch on the whole FormaL thing real quick. I think he came out to say maybe a couple hours ago that like he's not convinced yet he's going to be playing like the entire Halo season, but he is certainly going to be playing the kickoff event in Raleigh with effectively the FaZe guys. So like something like Snakebite was meant to be there, but then he had to do
Yeah.
something else, and so FormaL's like subbed into what apparently is a pretty good FaZe team. I don't know too much about Halo, but I thought that was kind of interesting, right? Like FormaL is going to be playing this first event under FaZe, even so now he's like Optic, Envy, FaZe, FormaL all at the same time, which is kind of mad. And I'm sure they'll be able to find a way to do that with like he can just loan him or still be a content creator technically. Yeah, you do wonder, right? Like could this because some of these guys. I'm sure when you retire, that competitive drive doesn't just disappear, right? Like obviously, FormaL still wants to compete in something, but he was just kind of fed up with the scrimming and the monotony of Call of Duty. But of course, Karma retired, and then he just plays games and chills and streams and this type of stuff. So I wonder if that's what FormaL will do, or whether like after he competes at this event and having practiced and scrimming with some of the guys on the new Halo, he's going to think actually I do kind of miss this. Now whether that means actually competing in Halo full time, which that'd be really cool to see. I think that's probably more likely than he comes back to COD, to be honest, Austin. But Halo's nice, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah, it had a really good launch, and the competitive circuit that they put out is it's the esports engine guys that are running it. Like
Yeah.
you just knew it was going to be good. That's the old MLG team, so it's like
Hmm.
obviously they're going to be putting in good work over there. On the formal side, yeah, he's playing with the FaZe team, which is like best way for COD players to understand that. I think it's like the Dallas situation from Modern Warfare where you have like two cracked out they have two really cracked out young kids, Boo Boo Doo Boo and Bound, where it is disgusting. And
Hmm.
then Phallicated, I think is how you say his name, is really good as well. And then Formal's coming in as that more of like veteran presence. So like yeah, he's gonna be in a perfect place to like really do well. Snipe Down was supposed to be on that team, I think,
Oh, Snipe
but
Down, yeah.
or yeah, yeah,
I think
but
it was
he's
Snipe
on
Down, not
the
Snakebite, yeah. I
yeah,
get them
it's
confused.
Snipe Down. Yeah, the Snake
You're
Bite's
right.
on the Sentinels. But Snipe Down was supposed to be in it, but since the game dropped early, he's still in the Apex Pro League with TSM, and so he doesn't have time right now to be grinding in scrims, which is why Formal's stepping in. Which is probably also why Formal said he doesn't know if he's going to be playing the entire season or if it's
Mm.
just at the beginning. So that makes a lot of sense on that. But yeah, yeah. I mean, Formal's obviously he said he wants to take a year off of Call of Duty, find himself, find his passion. So he'll definitely find that in Halo, and I do hope he has a great year ahead of him.
Yeah. You're right there, Austin. I feel like
That's good, Austin.
in the
That was
process,
clutch.
Formal was saying that like he's been scrimming for 11 years straight, like no rest, just going hard. And I feel like if he can overcome the idea of doing that again for like a full year, if not longer, then he'll be playing. But I think that's his biggest barrier is committing to, scrimming that often and having that be like his main profession because he could easily make money in so many other ways. Even his cheeky gambling streams could go off and, make a whole bunch of money. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think it really depends on his own mindset. He obviously got the skill to play professionally. It's just like, will he have that grind? And will they find success as well? Like, if he loses really badly in the first event, is he going to come back
Is it
for a
gonna
full
dip?
year?
Like,
Probably not.
I think it'd be
So,
fun to see FormaL on like if he doesn't want to, like if he doesn't have aspirations anymore to like go for championships and stuff. Like all of these events are like open events, so he doesn't necessarily have to be on one of the pro teams in the circuit. Like he could just have a team of kind of like OGs, and just kind of go along for fun, right, and play these tourneys kind of competitively, but for fun on the side by streams. Like that could be cool, because
yeah.
that's the way it's working right now. If you want to bring this up, Omar, by the way, this is the bracket or the roadmap for the season. So Halo have come out with all sorts of stuff. The game is technically in beta, I think. Came out 2 days ago on the 15th. It launched with ranked play. And yes, of course, there's a lot of talk about the fact that like they had 6 years to develop this game. Obviously, it's going to launch with the good stuff, but it doesn't seem no matter how long COD developers have to develop the game, it never launches with the stuff we want it to launch with. So there's that as well. But yeah, like, should we make excuses for COD devs? That was a big question that was going on yesterday. So not only have they got ranked play at launch, they've also got these awesome esports team skins. So all the teams that are going to be in their pro league, they have a skin in the game right now, like you can buy at launch. They're all really nice and better than what we've had in COD for years, despite the fact that like the COD ones seem to take months to arrive and then they look pretty terrible anyway. So there's that side of things. Like honestly, playing it last night was such a breath of fresh air. It's unbelievable. Like compared to playing Vanguard pubs, and it's pure chaos. I don't know what's going on. I'm dying in 2 bullets all the way across the map to something. Someone set up on a head glitch. I'm playing Halo, and it feels like I'm playing a jetpack COD again. The gunfights actually exist. I have to hit a load of different bullets. Like you can just outplay people. Like shot punching. It's just the maps also make a lot of sense. The game modes are good. It's yeah, I'd never played Halo really before in my life, apart from I played it one time at my mate's house when I was like 10. And I haven't played it since then. And hopping on that and playing it yesterday was more fun than I've had playing at least like Halo or Call of Duty controller esport game in a very long time. Which shows that like Halo is really good, and it also launched with like an esports reveal with a roadmap that runs from the launch event in December, mid-December, to all the way to the World Championship in next October. So this is the thing. It seems to me that Esports Engine and the guys that have put this on have looked at the CDL and said, okay, this is all the things that everyone complains about in the league. Let's do this for our game and show them how it's done properly. which seems to be exactly what they've executed so far. So,
Yeah.
you know, what do you think about the line?
I think it's hard to compare COD and Halo in terms of the features that are coming because it's been 6 years since the last Halo. And so it's like they had all this time to be able to plan and like implement all the things they want to implement and work with esports engine to create like the perfect league. But it's just COD, the way it's manufactured every single year to be different and innovative and fresh is like actually really bad for the scene itself compared to these other games like Halo. So the skins, I don't even know what to say about the skins. I mean, it's really dope that Halo has them, but the fact that COD can't get it right still is so annoying. Like that's obviously like I'm passionate about that personally because I've been trying to get, you know, noticed for that shit for the last like 2 years. Um, and then just ranked play as well. I feel like they've had a lot of time to plan that as well. So COD, I don't know. I think every single year with COD, we kind of just go into the year not really sure what to expect and then find our way along the way because the community is so passionate that we can find a way to make it work. Whereas Halo had all this time to plan what they're doing right now. So it's just you can't really compare those games because in 2 years' time, Halos might still be the exact same, whereas COD, we're back in jetpacks, fucking flying around like hard point like crazy. But I don't know. I just find it hard to compare those two games.
To be fair, we do have a 3-year cycle. So like this game's been in development for 3 years or 2 years,
You could argue
at
it's
the very least.
4 because, like, it was
Well,
2017 that World War II came out, and I know they were meant to be doing last year's game, but like Treyarch stepped in. We don't really know what went on there, but like, you know,
yeah.
insane.
Is
I
the
also
development team, sorry, I just want to ask a question. Is the development team for like Sledgehammer the same size as that of 343 or is it bigger or
it's
smaller?
bigger. 343 is
Okay.
smaller than
Yeah,
every
yeah.
one of CODs. I'm almost positive.
So
Probably.
I know I do know Sledgehammer's been support studio for a bunch of games, but like the thing I don't like about Call of Duty is like they never copy and paste anything. Like one
yeah.
of the things that everyone's been praising Halo for is that it took what old Halo was, perfected that. The BR play, the grenades, a lot of like the old school movement, and then they brought in the new gen, which is the advanced movement, the grappling, the uh, you know, stuff like that, and they really perfected that as well. So it's like they merged it perfectly, right? Whereas Call of Duty, 1 year we have great skins. If you think about AW, next year, in the next 6 years, we have nothing. 1 year, what was it? Last time we had or GB integration was what?
World War
Uh,
Two.
World War
World War
II.
Two. Why is that
Yeah.
not in every year? Why are we not
Yeah.
control? Why are we not just pasting that in every year? Um,
Yeah.
why are we not pasting in the World War II ranked play every year?
I was in Modern Warfare. Credit to the team in the chat. It actually was, but
Yeah, you're right.
GB's
Yeah,
just so tragic in that. But I mean, yeah,
Didn't
you can
even
still make a fair
know.
point.
Wow.
yeah. So like, I really don't understand why we aren't copying and pasting a lot of stuff throughout the years. They have this
Yeah.
obsession with being more realism, more realistic, which I think is the death of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Honestly, is trying to be realistic. That's Battlefield. What Call of Duty wants is an arena shooter. That's just that's just crazy action, right? We don't want to be actually playing Battlefield. Like that's if we wanted to play
Yeah.
Battlefield, we'd play Battlefield. So I feel like the obsession of no trophy system because it's not realistic is I
Mate, I'm
don't know.
respawning. Like,
Yeah, I
you
just I
know,
really wish make up a war, make up a fictional war, and like and whatever. And say it's an alternate universe, and just like I feel like this take the core,
Yeah.
the engine, the gunplay, the movement is so clean. Why can't we just copy and paste everything else that's been working the past 10 years and just put it in? Why are we not putting in, the shooting ranges before matches? Why are we not putting in ranked play, that the same ranked play system over and over and over again? Just fix the small mistakes within it, but just keep copying and pasting. I know that the studios, because we have 3 studios, just can't do that. For some reason, it just doesn't work like that. But like, oh, it kills me
sure
that
they
it's not
could do
like
it
that.
if they like really had the will, you know.
Yeah, I mean, this year
It's
they copy and pasted the movement from Modern Warfare, essentially. So it's like that's like the first time I've noticed them actually do that. I think the only
Pretty
other
much,
time
yeah.
would be
because
gun.
it's
Huh?
Activision's engine. It's not
Yeah, yeah,
IW's
yeah,
engine.
yeah.
So I'm like, oh, If we
Yeah.
got that down now, let's get everything else down.
Well, this year they also worked with Treyarch for like the first time working on zombies, and that came out like ass. Have you played it? Have you seen it?
I haven't
just
played
heard
it,
it's
but I heard the
horrible.
bad rep. Yeah.
Dude, it's apparently just. Also haven't played it, but what I've heard, and if people can touch on the chat if they want, what I've heard is that it's just zombies stripped of all the things that people want in zombies. It's just like it works as zombies as a game, but all the things people want aren't in the game.
Innovation, baby. Woo!
Yeah, going backwards.
I think they
Um,
like there must be a lot of marketing goes around it. They every year they try to like literally just reinvent the game, and I guess like they believe that that creates more copies being sold each year, which it could
It
easily be the
probably
case,
does.
but it hurts the core game so much. It just hurts it so much that you just keep reinventing. You're draining your studios because they have to be working nonstop, which is what the reason why we always have so many bugs is because studios are trying to reinvent the goddamn game every year, and like they do a really great job of doing that. It just I wish we could take the core of the game and perfect it, like really perfect that, and take everything that goes good each year, take that and put it in the next one. But it's so tough. I would never want to be a developer because it's just there's just so much that goes into it that no one will understand, and it's just like, oh, it's head pounding. But I imagine that they are just as upset as well.
Yeah, it can't be fun. There's so many examples of that it's tough to even count them. Like when you were mentioning earlier, Austin, that like when you could ban attachments, I was thinking back to Black Ops 3. You could go through in Black Ops 3 and you could single-handedly pick what you wanted to ban from the game. So you were like, okay, awareness, that's not allowed. Let's make sure every single class that anyone has in this entire game, if it has awareness, they can't select that class, or it just disappears off the class. I don't know. Like that was how it worked back in the day. You could restrict everything. You could restrict the specialists. You could make sure people couldn't pick certain things in customs. It was like, wow, someone really went to the time and effort to go through and make that and like write the code for it. And it was actually useful in a lot of occasions. You might play a tourney and it's like, no heat waves allowed in this tourney. Okay, so we can actually manually, and you could save. I don't know if maybe you can do that in this game. I don't know. I haven't played enough,
Nope.
but like you can't.
No, you
Okay,
cannot.
classic. Yeah, you can't save the rules. I mean, of course, I guess you don't need it because the CDL or whatever. But like, that was a great feature from Black Ops 3. That you can go through and save your rule set so that, okay, if you're playing this S&D tournament on GB, then, okay, this is the rule set for that. Let me just select the rule set. Like, man, so many
You want to
good
know something
things
funny?
that just get lost.
Is I was shooting bots earlier, and I literally kept getting killed by a damn shotgun. And I was like, I'm done. I quit the game. I'm like, I'm gonna go ban the shotgun so the bots can't use it. I go into the rule set, can't do it. I'm like, yep, getting off,
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
getting off for the day.
Exactly, yeah. I feel very similarly.
Right. You touched on just ban and protect, eh? Do you remember at the start of IW what it was? Don't say what it is, Austin. Like instead of ban and protect, there was something
W.
else, and it was
Oh,
so bad.
were we? Wait, nah. Was that the time where they wanted like each player to have a different weapon? Was that it?
Yes, weapon draft,
Yeah, weapon draft. Yeah, weapon draft. That's it.
dude. That shit
Oh
sucked.
man, that is
Oh
funny.
my.
To be fair, like I remember they had some idea where like one guy would be like the dedicated sniper, or
Yeah, like
like
pro
in
mod.
respawn. Yeah, basically pro mod, but like all games.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't know how bad that is. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
don't mind that. It's
Like
just you can't have one gun that's just so shitty compared to the rest that that
exactly,
person's
yeah, you're
just
just getting
a
bodied
Yeah.
walking,
by like
a
the
walking just body on the map. Like,
Dude,
yeah, I
his
know.
I remember that it was like the OSA was like dominant as fuck. Like it was the
Yeah,
only gun that could actually get
Vegas.
kills, and one
I just
person was
remember,
running it.
I just remember watching like Zuma had the Osa piece, and then like Enable had like the Kuda or something at the time, and it was so bad, and he was just like. He would go like 10 and 40 and just be like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I would rather use my fists than this gun.
Yeah,
The ERAD was
yeah,
terrible at the start of that game. It only got good later on. Or
yeah.
whatever other SMGs people were using.
I
There were
think
some
it
other
was the
ones people
ERAD at the
tried out
beginning.
actually in
The
Yeah.
that game. Yeah,
ERAD, the ERAD.
it's probably the ERAD. That was so much fun towards the end, but it was trash.
The
Yeah,
do you
I don't
remember
know.
the stomp power up? Sorry, just touching on IW.
Wait,
The
was that
stomp.
a W?
Oh, when you could
Yeah,
like Spartan Spike.
yeah.
They
You
have
could
that in
Oh
Halo
man.
now.
from the sky.
I
Yeah,
mean, you
that
could
was
do that in
dope.
Advanced Warfare. To be fair,
It
you could
wasn't as
stomp on
good in
people.
Advanced Warfare. The one in fucking IW
Oh, it
was
was even better.
ridiculous.
Oh, it was
Yes,
really
I
good.
it made the earth shake.
actually, yeah, I do remember that. I actually like guilty pleasure of mine during let's say World War II and maybe the next year was playing Infinite Warfare pubs TDM. Like that is top quality. That is honestly good fun. If you play IW pubs
Um,
TDM, no skill-based matchmaking, I was going 40 in 7 every game without fail. It was
yeah.
just complete. It was so honestly that was so much fun. The
What did
maps
you
were fun,
run?
man.
Did you run the K
Uh,
bar?
no, I didn't really like the K bar that much. I'd usually be NV4. NV4,
Interesting.
man, that is a sexy weapon right there. The little circle dot on the scope, damn.
I will say,
Do you guys go
I
for it?
hope
Go
we're
for it.
turning a corner because like Halo is supposed to be the only Halo game for the next 10 years. Free multiplayer.
What?
They're just gonna keep developing the game as the years go on, and they're gonna keep like putting in new DLC.
I
If you
like
think about
that.
it, Warzone is free to play. It's been out continuously. They're just updating as it goes along. The next step should be multiplayer. I don't know why we continuously get new iterations of multiplayer. Um, when usually it's just not good because the developers have to take so long to fix all the mistakes and they're so rushed to do that and the games are not 100% done when it comes out. But I am really hoping that if Halo does well, that Call of Duty just changes to that as well.
Like a
That's my
4-year
hope.
cycle, eh? Like one every 4 years, and
Just
like
something.
fix everything, get everything
Just
down.
just keep pumping
Yeah,
out DLC and like get everything down. You can have fun tuning guns every couple of months. You can sell off the campaign if you want. Like do campaign. Like
yeah.
and keep putting out. I don't know. I just feel like
Imagine it's just Call of Duty, and like that's what it's called, Call of Duty. And then like maybe 2 years into the game, they're like, "All right, this season of CDL, it's jetpacks. We're bringing back
Oh
like all these
man,
maps, all this shit, new
that'd be
guns, but it's
so
the
good.
same engine, same sort of feel, but it's like now you have jetpacks. Like, do you remember in Black Ops 4 when they had jetpacks in Warzone and how well it worked? Like I feel,
mm,
well, not Warzone,
Oh,
sorry,
like
Blackout.
blackout, yeah.
Blackout. Yeah, it was like amazing, and I feel like they could just implement that for like a season or something if the game was more than just 1 year cycle. That's just like random thinking, but potential.
I mean, I think Austin's you're right. Like, I don't know if they won't readily go away from the year-on-year pump it out model. Like it's going to take something pretty severe, I think, for them to do that, just because the cash they make. But it must be said, to be fair, that like Vanguard year-on-year sales are down like way below what they were last year. And I imagine the reason for that is probably because a lot of the casual players they just want to play Warzone. So like they're not going to buy the new COD because there's no point. Like they might, they're going to get their casual play fix from playing Warzone rather than needing regular Vanguard multiplayer. So that makes me think, okay, cool, like that's fine. They can make their money through microtransactions in Warzone. Let's focus multiplayer more on being a bit of a competitive shooter. Like playing Halo, I go into quick play and I just press like I literally don't press anything. I go quick play, play, and it puts me into a 4 versus 4 game on Slayer, CTF, and like some carry the ball game mode or something, which I'm guessing are the competitive modes in 4v4 in the same game exactly that the pros are playing. So I'm like, okay, this is beautiful. Why don't doesn't COD go that direction in the future and say like Warzone is going to be the base for the casual players, and then the competitive multiplayer or like the multiplayer in general is going to be more with competitive players in mind, because that's how games in general get their longevity. Um,
It's
as
the
we've
hardcore fan
seen,
base.
as we see everywhere, right? Like
Mm.
Halo clearly told it in that way. Like Counter
Valorant,
Strike,
CS:GO. Yeah,
Valorant, all these games, they get their, they retain their users over time because retain their players over time because they love the game and they want to improve in the ranking stuff. Like
yeah,
everyone who plays CS is playing ranked, like it's playing matchmaking. Like
yeah.
everyone who plays it, and there's millions of people who play it on a weekly basis.
I put COD in like the same sort of circle as like Madden and like sports games that come out every year, as opposed to games like Valorant or CS:GO, where it's like highly competitive and that's what it's focused on.
Yeah,
Definitely more just
for
about the
sure.
player base and getting as many people as possible, as opposed to generating a perfect ranked experience, which I feel like is a step that they're not willing to take yet until they see such a massive drop in their like multiplayer numbers. So that might be like a few years away, but I feel like that will happen at some point because that's an area they haven't tapped into yet. And like they haven't even taken that chance. So it's once they like maybe once Warzone dies off, they'll put ranked first and it'll become that sort of, Valorant League of Legends, competitive and
We'll
mind
see.
game. Oh,
You good, Austin?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. All right.
I mean, that was pretty much the last thing that we had to discuss. To be honest, I think like throw some questions in the chat, guys. If you have any, we had some great discussions there. The final thing I just wanted to say real quick because I saw a couple of clips coming out of this the last couple of days. There's been some talk about like cheaters effectively in the game and just when Ricochet might actually arrive, if ever, because obviously there's a load of other things to think about. We don't even have a date for when Ricochet is coming to multiplayer. I know you said before, Austin, like, can we even realistically do challenges without this type of stuff? Because I saw some guy who I think Crone tweeted out he meant to have his face cam on, but I mean maybe I can find it real quick. I mean, and you can bring it up on the screen, Omar. Like, let me just see if I can get that done real quick. It depends if I can find. Yeah, okay, this is it. And if you want to bring this up, Omar, this is the tweet, and you can see that on the right-hand side, this is basically like the wall hacks that people are using. And people will hide it behind their bloody face cams. And this guy obviously had his face cam off by accident, maybe. And you can see this, like, I guess this dot refers to where he is, and then this other dot that rotates around refers to where the enemy is. So he knows he's close to the enemy. And the thing is, like, people could be abusing this to high hell and just hiding it behind a face cam or hiding it behind any piece of overlay that they could possibly be using. And this type of stuff's kind of small, so even if you do like a monitor cam, it's tough to detect it. And you see, it gets really close, it goes red, and then he destroys him, and then he gets hyped. I'm like, man. So I don't know. All I'm saying is that these people are playing the game right now, and we currently have no way to even identify them unless they expose themselves. So it's like, thankfully, I don't really think it's affecting any of these big tourneys, apart from the one that Optic exposed the guy a few days ago. But apart from that, I don't know what we can do until Ricochet arrives, frankly. And, I even saw, what was it? It was GodRx and Co. Pentagram saying, you know what, I'm playing the Halo event. Who even knows if they play COD this year in challenges? They might go to Halo. That'd be crazy, but maybe.
Does Halo even have an anti-cheat? I don't even know if they do. But
Probably
I
not.
don't know why more COD players don't play that opening on that first Halo because the season probably doesn't even start till a little bit later. So because they really haven't put out anything about challengers, so I don't know why more challengers aren't playing in that Halo event. I mean, might as well. If you have Gunny, you're gonna do well on it. So might as well just run it up and see what you get.
yeah, Halo doesn't have an anti-cheat, but they said that they outlined their anti-cheat efforts. That's what they've said. So they're
Gotcha.
going to, but yeah, nothing right now.
Well, at least they're doing a
Yeah.
LAN for the first one, because
Yeah.
That is really cool. I agree. Yeah, I mean, okay, let's take a couple of questions. Like, firstly, the Turtle says, thoughts on a rotating third game mode? I mean, man, what does that even look like? What like rotating? So a different third mode through
Higher seed gets to
season,
pick the
or...
game mode.
Oh man, okay, now we're talking. But like,
CTF control. Is
man, can
control
you
even in the
imagine?
game? No.
Control or
It's
CTF aren't even in the game yet.
they did say that competitive game modes are coming in season 1, which is like
Season
2
1.
weeks away.
Okay,
Yeah, I think so.
come on. Hopefully.
Maybe.
We'll see about that. I mean, I think we talked about third. Oh no, I see
least
both pick modes, opposite picks map. Whoever gets game one chooses. Huh, interesting. Yeah, I mean that'd be quite the thing. I think honestly, we should just have one mode and make it work. It's tough enough finding good game modes. To be honest, right now we're not spoiled for choice. Let's just say, especially in this game. So there's that as well. And yeah, the last thing I guess we could just touch on this, right? Like as a challenges player, is it actually better to switch to Halo? Because like I've been covering a bit of Valorant stuff lately, and it's been a big discussion there, especially if you're a North American CS player. Do you switch to Val? Is that where the future is? That's certainly where more of the money is right now in the North American scene. But then you've actually got, after this most recent major, a lot of organizations want to get back into CS. There's some players that actually want to go the other way. They go back to CS. And some people were saying that actually that's kind of a relatively healthy ecosystem that you've got players that are obviously good at both that can kind of, depending on the situation, can swap between the two. Maybe they get an offer in Val, maybe they get an offer in CS, and they kind of go back between the two of them. Obviously, CoD hasn't really had that, but it was a massive thing a few years ago when Halo was big. Like, you know, these guys are going to come over to CoD because there's more money. And now maybe in challenges, like those team passes, those 272 or maybe it was 260 team passes and 12 pro teams at the event. They sold out in 20 minutes. They maxed out the event less than half an hour. Like that's why some of these more pro teams can't go Austin, is because all the passes are sold out. It's just insane. Like the interest in it. And like they've got crowdfunding. We didn't even mention the crowdfunding today, but I saw a tweet today that said that I'm pretty sure the prize pool, maybe this is the entire season prize pool, but there's going to be $3 million in there from Microsoft, I guess, and or like from whoever's putting up the money, plus crowdfunding on top of that. So every single esports skin that's being bought is contributing to the prize pool. Like there's going to be a lot of money involved there. Like they're doing things right that we haven't had in CoD. And at the end of the day, there might be more money to be won by going to these tournaments as an open team. Like, let's say you are an open team, but you're trying to make it in Halo, and you can get noticed and build you out the ranks, and you can actually make it through the bracket. And it might be more fun to play, frankly, if you are a challenger player having a tough time in CoD. Like, maybe that's the thing for the next couple of years, that Halo is going to be a serious competitor. I doubt, frankly, that Halo maintains its longevity. I think that is one of the benefits of having a new CoD every year. Like, even though it's not great for like the players, it does at least generate interest. Like, if we got settled with a bad game for many a year, it would be tough. And I don't think this Halo is a bad game at all, but I just think that if this Halo is meant to be lasting 10 years, I don't see the competitive ecosystem continuing to thrive for that long. I'm happy to be proved wrong though, but I think for the short term, it could be a good option for some of the challengers guys. I don't know what you think, Austin, just as we close out the show.
Yeah, so I want to see how long the honeymoon phase lasts with Halo. I think it will be really, really good this year. It should probably drag a lot of the amateurs over there. But honestly, without a BR, I don't know, because like the reason why I'm so bullish on Call of Duty still is because we have a BR that is highly successful, that brings in millions of dollars every day, like millions every single day, which will always keep the money flowing into Call of Duty, which will make our league have money. Like there's a lot of money in the league right now, and it's going to stay that way with how Warzone is right now. I don't like. I saw this in the chat. I don't think franchising is killing the competitive scene. I don't think that at all. I think franchising was going to be better for the long run for the tier 1, and once it's built out, the tier 2 scene. Halo with the open system is better for the tier 3 tier, like this open. It's just better for everyone else on that front. But I just don't know if the money will be there in the long run for them. If the day they do drop a BR is going to be the day that Halo will probably start leaning towards the better option for competitive players, because unfortunately, like right now, the healthiness of a esport is highly linked to the number of players on the game. So like CS
Yeah.
and Valorant right now, there's a ton of players playing that daily, which means there's a ton of skins being bought daily, which funds the developers, which is able to be put back into the prize pool. So 343 it's a big studio, but it's not the biggest studio out there. So it will be interesting to see, as you said, like how many players are honestly keep playing this, because once this opening week or 2 weeks is done, all the streamers and stuff are going to move on, right? They're not going to be playing that game just to play multiplayer. That's not keeps their viewers engaged. Like a BR is what keeps viewers engaged, which makes content creators come. So that's why content creators are so valuable to game development. And so I think once if Call of Duty is able to really build out the infrastructure for that tier 2 scene, like obviously Call of Duty be better, but if Halo gets a BR, especially with the people that are running the scene right now, they're going to be in a very, very much similar position as us, and I think they'll be in a better position overall.
Yeah, I feel like the only way, unless like not having a BR, is if their ranked play completely blows up, and I feel like that just
Yeah.
isn't going to happen because it's just Halo. I mean, it's somewhat similar to Guardians, but it's just kind of a slower version, and it's not crazy innovative for Halo. So I don't see why people would continue to like love the multiplayer for more than a year or two, especially if the cycle is another 10 years, like Austin said. So, I think, yeah, they'll need to keep innovating and they'll need to keep changing things and adding things to get like the viewers and the fan base to maintain.
Agreed. I just think it's exciting that at last it seems, because even Battlefield, like 2042 or whatever, like people don't seem to like that very much. I don't really know too much about it, but generally hasn't got the most raucous of reviews. Whereas Halo is really like they're really trying to push COD here and say like, look, we're here to play, and Activision are going to have to be on their game, and the studio's going to have to be on their game to hopefully implement some of the things that they're doing correctly, and people clearly love and have great feedback on. It's not just theoretical that people like this stuff; it actually translates into reality when you deliver the goods that people actually engage. But yeah, that is a good place I think to end it. Thanks, fellas, for joining me. Any final words, Austin, before we close things out? Obviously, you've got scrims coming up, but maybe that didn't mean too much.
Yeah, I'm not sitting in scrims for another like week or two, but yeah, I hope everyone has a good week. For everyone in NA, I know like Thanksgiving's gonna be next week, so hopefully everyone's having a good time around the holidays and able to relax and start off the winter right.
Nice. I just want to say shout out to CDL Scrim. The guy just he got another 1,000 followers since we started the
Really?
podcast. Yeah,
He's
he's on
smashing.
11.4. Man's
Wow,
blowing
credit
up.
where it is due. He's doing
Yeah.
well. And also shout out to the World Series of Warzone is on, I believe, today, and we should be covering the stats on the Breaking Point Twitter. I believe, Austin. I don't know if you want to touch on that real quick, just to those who are tuning live.
Yeah, our guy Novus, Brandon Novus, the Seattle GM, is doing a really good job of covering the Warzone side. So if you go over the breakingpoint.gg, you can check out where it says stats. Like right next to that, we have a Warzone tab where you can go see past Warzone stats. The ones from this tournament are going to be updated. So go check that out. You'll be able to literally see everything you want on that side: kills, deaths, headshots, KD, kills per 10 minutes, Gulag win rate. You want to see it? It's on there. They do a really good job of polling that, so go check that out. Definitely.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I could bring it up, but I mean, it's time to close the show. So good idea,
Yeah.
Omar, but they were too late on the draw. It's all good. Thanks all for watching, very much indeed. We will catch you on Monday for a bit of a special episode. Looking forward to that one. And hopefully by then, the bloody bomb glitch has been fixed. But I suppose we can only hope and pray. Thanks for watching as always. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.